What's going on, guys? It's Greg here, aka NYPrepper. It is Tuesday, July 22nd, 2025, and I have some breaking news to share with you guys. Right now it is 16:04 Eastern Time here in the United States, and we have some major breaking news coming in from all over the world. So there was some kind of a massive cyber attack on Microsoft SharePoint. Microsoft says Chinese state-backed hackers, including Linen Typhoon, Violet Typhoon, and Storm 2603, exploited vulnerabilities in its SharePoint servers starting July the 7th. The company urged customers to install security updates following recent active attacks. SharePoint Online in Microsoft 365 was not affected. The attack affected federal and state agencies, major corporations, universities, energy providers, and telecommunications infrastructure. The attackers exploited a serious vulnerability in Microsoft's SharePoint servers, gaining access to sensitive documents, communications, and in some cases, critical infrastructure controls. At least one major energy company and numerous educational and governmental organizations were compromised. The breach has led to data theft, operational disruptions, and potential national security risks, especially in telecommunications espionage. Wow. So this is extremely serious, guys. The Chinese hacked SharePoint, which is a major productivity software used by various organizations from local governments all the way up to the federal government and small and large corporations. So this is extremely serious, guys. And the UK is developing a stealth fighter jet capable of striking deep into Russia from NATO territory. The British sixth-generation fighter jet Tempest will be able to evade air defenses and strike targets deep inside Russia without the need for refueling and with a full weapons payload. The aircraft is being developed in partnership with Japan and Italy. Its fuselage will house large fuel tanks, advanced weaponry, and onboard systems, all designed for long-range strike missions. According to military analyst Francis Tusa, in the event of a war between Russia and NATO, the Tempest could take off from a UK airbase and within the first week strike Russian missile defense systems, air defenses, and airfields. Wow. So Great Britain is developing a sixth-generation fighter jet for long-range deep strike missions inside of Russia. Now, what's interesting is earlier this week we had the major breaking news come in that the U.S. was moving an unspecified number of B-61 nuclear gravity bombs to the U.K. for the first time in 20 years. Okay, so these B-61 nuclear gravity bombs are going to be stored in the UK, and they're going to be developing this sixth-generation fighter jet that can fly basically probably 1,000 miles or more without refueling. I would imagine probably 2,000 miles. Okay, it's probably going to have concealed fuel tanks, and they're going to be able to deliver these American nukes deep inside of Russian territory. So this is very, very serious. And Trump said today in a meeting with Philippine leader Ferdinand Marcos that in a few months, the U.S. will have more ammunition than any country has ever had. He said we're going to have more missiles than any country has ever had. Wow. So more missiles and more ammo than any country in history. Wow. And the Kremlin said today that Putin could still meet with Trump in September if Trump goes to Beijing. So very interesting. And 4 Ukrainian fighter jets unintentionally entered Romania's airspace as they were dispersing their planes from Ukrainian airfields during a major Russian drone and missile attack against western Ukraine. Wow, so that was last night. 4 Ukrainian fighter jets flew into Romania trying to disperse from this Russian attack. And Ukrainian drones attacked the Novokuybishevsk petrochemical company, one of the largest producers in the field of gas processing, petrochemicals, and organic synthesis in Russia and Eastern Europe. Wow. So Ukraine hitting the largest chemical plant in Eastern Europe and in Russia. Wow. And a commercial pilot made an aggressive maneuver to avoid a mid-air collision with a U.S. Air Force B-52 bomber recently. According to Aviation A to Z, the close call happened aboard a SkyWest Flight 3788 operating as a Delta connection to Minot International Airport. Wow, that is absolutely insane. So this B-52 was probably flying with no transponder on. And speaking of B-52s, we currently have a B-52 over Louisiana that took off from Shreveport and was flying over the Ozarks. We also have a P-8 Poseidon Sub Hunter that just took off from Jacksonville and is heading up towards the northeast. Now, the last couple of weeks, we've been seeing a lot of Sub Hunters off the coast of Cape Cod and Long Island, so it'll be interesting to see where this Sub Hunter goes. And 2 nights ago, Russia launched another massive drone and missile attack on Ukraine. They launched 450 drones and about 20 missiles. And the western Ukrainian city of Ivano-Frankivsk suffered the most massive attack since the beginning of the war. Wow. Okay, so this was a massive drone attack, and it specifically targeted western Ukraine more than any other part of Ukraine. And Russia is rapidly ramping up production of Shahed kamikaze drones and could be ready by November to launch as many as 2,000 drones at once against Ukraine, the Institute for the Study of War warned. Such an attack could be the largest since the start of the full-scale invasion. According to the Institute for the Study of War, the number of drones launched by Russia is increasing by 31% each month. While early this year, Russia typically launched 100 to 200 drones per night, a record was set on July 9th with 728 drones used in a single wave. Germany has confirmed this assessment. Major General Christian Freuding said Russia is currently capable of launching 700 to 800 drones and dozens of missiles every 3 to 5 days. The Kremlin's goal, he said, is to build capacity for a simultaneous strike involving around 2,000 drones. Okay, this is totally insane. All right, so, lately these drone attacks have been massive. We've been seeing anywhere between 400 and 700 drones in these big drone attacks every couple of days, but Russia wants to increase that to up to 2,000 drones. And I showed you guys the footage coming out of Russia, this massive drone factory. I mean, they're just pumping out drones like crazy over there in Russia. And Germany and the U.S. are close to an agreement to dispatch Patriot air defense systems to Ukraine, according to Bloomberg. German Defense Minister Boris Pistorius said Berlin will do its part to help furnish a total of 5 Patriot systems to Ukraine as quickly as possible. German and American officials aim to finalize remaining issues of the Patriot deal, including the timing for replacing depleted stocks, with an announcement possible later this week. So Trump said that they were going to get those Patriot missiles within days, but it looks like it's going to be longer than that, at least several weeks, if not several months. Hopefully not several months. And the Netherlands said today that they are ready to make a substantial contribution to the supply of American Patriot systems to Ukraine. So maybe the Netherlands is ready to give up a bunch of their Patriot missiles to Ukraine. And Zelensky said today that Ukraine must increase the frequency and range of strikes on Russia. Every site used for weapons production must be hit. And the UK has imposed sanctions on 137 Russian ships today And Ukrainian drones last night struck the Milarovo air base in the Rostov region. More than 10 kabooms were heard. And the Trump administration is reportedly alarmed by Israel's recent actions in Syria, according to Axios. The White House believes that Israeli Prime Minister Netanyahu has become uncontrollable following recent strikes by Israel against Syria against the wishes of U.S. President Trump. The White House is beginning to believe that Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu is out of control. One White House official told Axios that, quote, Bibi acted like a madman. He bombs everything all the time. This could undermine what Trump is trying to do, end quote. Another U.S. official also pointed to the shelling of the Holy Family Catholic Church in Gaza City this week, which resulted in several deaths and caused an international uproar, leading President Trump to call Netanyahu and demand an explanation. A third U.S. official said there's growing skepticism inside the Trump administration about Netanyahu, a sense that his trigger finger is too itchy and he's too disruptive. Netanyahu is sometimes like a child who just won't behave. The bombing in Syria caught the president and the White House by surprise. The president doesn't like turning on the television and seeing bombs dropped in a country he is seeking peace in, and made a monumental announcement to help rebuild, a U.S. official told Axios. Wow. So the rift between Trump and Netanyahu is growing. And the Iranian Foreign Minister Abbas Araghchi spoke with Bret Baier on Fox News yesterday, and he confirmed that the U.S. missile strikes seriously damaged and destroyed Iran's nuclear facilities, halting uranium enrichment since June 22nd. He said, our facilities have been damaged, seriously damaged. The facilities have been destroyed. Despite the devastation, Araghchi vowed Iran would rebuild and restart enrichment, calling it a matter of dignity for the Iranian people and declaring we can never give it up. Trump reacted on Truth Social, demanding CNN apologize for doubting the strike's effectiveness. Of course they are destroyed, just like I said, and we will do it again if necessary. Iran refuses any deal blocking enrichment or limiting ballistic missiles and terror proxy support. He said that Iran will maintain its support for Hamas, Hezbollah, and the Houthis. Wow. And Iran was hit by 20,000 cyber attacks from abroad during its 12-day war with Israel, the Ministry of Information and Communications Technology said on Tuesday. And Iran officially confirms holding nuclear talks with European powers this coming Friday in Istanbul. And Iran's defense minister has met with his Russian counterpart in Moscow. Very interesting. And according to CBS News, another senior staffer under Secretary of Defense Pete Hegseth has been ousted, with Justin Fulcher, who started at the Pentagon working for Elon Musk's Doge before becoming a senior advisor to Secretary Hegseth, having been removed this week from his position at the Department of Defense. Very interesting. And Lindsey Graham recently said, Putin, your turn is coming. Donald Trump is the Scotty Scheffler of American politics and foreign diplomacy, and he's about to put a whooping on your ass. Trump is going to impose tariffs on countries that buy Russian oil, China, India, and Brazil. These three countries purchase about 80% of Russia's cheap oil and are keeping the Russian war machine running. And the U.S. State Department recently approved a potential sale of a naval strike missile coastal defense system to Bulgaria for $620 million. Wow. And if you guys are not aware, the U.S. has a massive base in Bulgaria, one of the biggest bases in Europe. And the Trump administration has strongly urged Congress to increase Taiwan defense aid to $1 billion for the year 2026 citing its importance for Indo-Pacific deterrence. Congress had previously planned a $500 million package. Wow, so they wanted $500 million, and the Trump administration is now asking Congress to double that for Taiwan defense aid. That is huge. And the U.S. House passed a bill barring Pentagon maps from showing Taiwan as part of China. And the Houthis informed the UN that they will continue targeting ships linked to Israel or heading to Israeli ports via the Red Sea until Tel Aviv halts its military operations in Gaza. And in the first 6 months of the Trump administration, U.S. authorities arrested over 100,000 undocumented migrants on American soil and revoked temporary residence permits for another 500,000 foreigners, according to the White House. And the U.S. has declassified documents related to the murder of Martin Luther King Jr. Donald Trump's administration has released over 240,000 pages of FBI archives concerning the life and assassination of Martin Luther King Jr., the legendary civil rights leader who was shot in 1968. The documents had been sealed since 1977. Their release had been delayed multiple times, but they are now accessible to the public. It remains unclear whether any of the files shed new light on the murder, according to the Associated Press. So it sounds like a distraction from the Epstein files. Okay, the Trump administration suddenly releasing Martin Luther King Jr. files, and now the Trump administration is going after Obama for the Russia hoax. Seems like a clever way to kind of get people's attention away from the Epstein situation. And the Trump administration seeks new partners for Golden Dome, including Jeff Bezos' Kuiper as alternative to Musk's SpaceX. SpaceX's Starlink and Starshield remain key to U.S. military communications, but the White House and Pentagon have been quietly seeking alternatives, wary of relying too heavily on Musk for the $175 billion space defense shield. And the EU is preparing to retaliate against the U.S. as Trump pushes for higher tariffs on European goods. Talks are faltering ahead of the August 1st deadline. Wow. And last night we had a U.S. reconnaissance plane patrolling the Persian Gulf along the coast of Iran. And we also had a NATO AWACS plane patrolling the Baltics. And we also had this U.S. Nuclear War Command and Control plane off the coast of Long Island, which is pretty rare. It was hanging out there for several hours. And actually this morning, we had an unusual flurry of emergency action messages or nuclear codes. These are nuclear attack options sent out to U.S. nuclear forces. And we also had a U.S. Air Force reconnaissance plane fly from the UK all the way up to Russia's Northern Fleet base in the Kola Peninsula, where Russia keeps 2/3 of their nuclear-armed subs. And then it flew down along the border of Finland and Russia and down through the Baltics. Massive reconnaissance going on here. And then interestingly, we had 2 Russian VIP planes leave this city in far eastern Siberia, east of Lake Baikal. The city is known as Chita. I don't know how to say it in Russian. Interestingly, one of these planes left the Altai Mountains, which we know that Putin has a bunker in the Altai Mountains. I've showed it to you guys on the live streams. So potentially Putin was doing something over here in far eastern Siberia, east of Lake Baikal. But that's the latest breaking news that I have. I might be back later on tonight with more breaking news. Tune into the 24/7 live stream to monitor our nuclear forces. Download my free app so you can get updated directly from me when things are going down. And the links to my app are in the description below this video. It's 100% free for Android and Apple iPhone. And also, I have added a new membership level here on YouTube. I have the Silver membership, which gives you access to some extra things, including text format updates. So these updates I'm going to put into text format, an abbreviated bulleted list of all the major headlines. If you don't have time to watch or listen to a 20-minute video, you can get a quick summary of all the major headlines. That's also available for Patreon members as well. And until the next time, take care, God bless, and don't forget the 3 Ps: prepare, practice, and persevere. And this update was sponsored by EMP Shield. Guys, EMP Shield has created a special discount just for you, the listeners of the NYPrepper channel. If you go to empshield.com and use the promo code NYPrepper, you can get 15% off your entire order. And why do you need an EMP Shield? Well, this is a special device to protect your vehicle, your RV, your solar generators, your radios from an electromagnetic pulse, which could be caused by a solar flare or potentially a rogue country like North Korea detonating an electromagnetic pulse weapon over the United States that's mounted onto a satellite. So protect your vehicles, protect your RV, protect your radios, protect your generators with an EMP Shield. Use my promo code NYPrepper to get 15% off. Installation is super simple. This is a veteran-owned business, 100% American-made, and the EMP Shields have been tested by the military, okay? And free shipping is included to the entire continental United States. And the link and the promo code are in the description below this video.